You know, if I had a nickel for every time PlayStation was following up a beloved, record-breaking, universal success of a console with another console that had every reason to deliver the exact same success, only to have it come in and have quality games but be a bit divisive amongst its hardcore fans, while we are in the midst of a financial crisis that extends the duration of the console's life pretty much longer than we've ever seen, I would have 2 nickels, but it is weird that it's happening again. PlayStation is having a bit of a quiet start to 2026. As we enter February, as I am recording, editing, producing, and releasing this video, we are on the cusp of an alleged state of play that is probably going to illuminate most of PlayStation's plans for 2026. But today on Rantable, I want to look at the current state of PlayStation, the narrative of this generation so far, and recall that we've been through this before with the PlayStation 3, a console that now is universally loved by fans. I loved my PlayStation 3. Tons of fantastic games on that console, but it really didn't become that console with that identity until its twilight years. And looking ahead to 2026, I feel PlayStation's in a similar situation once again for the PlayStation 5 to step it up and be the console everybody has wanted it to be since 2020. Now let me cushion this. I know the PlayStation 5 is successful. It is running laps around the Xbox this generation, and it is delivering great games to play. Every single year since it launched, there are Game of the Year worthy titles that you can pick up. Some of them you can only play on PlayStation 5, and it's a great platform. It is, however, a platform which some say lacks games, I say lacks an identity. Going into this generation, PlayStation promised that they believed in generations. When Xbox was talking smart delivery and we're gonna make it really easy to transition from the Xbox One to the Xbox Series, PlayStation was kind of like dunking on them, being like, we are not a continuation, we're the step up. Here's 3 years of cross-generation first-party titles. And 6 years in, a lot of people still feel like we're really not there with the PlayStation 5 yet. There's still an unwillingness of people to jump up to that next gen because their live service games that they love and the main things they play, they can still play them on their PlayStation 4s or PS4 Pros to a decent enough standard. And PlayStation 5, in my opinion, has yet to really cement its identity. Its big breakout year hasn't happened yet between that cross-gen window and moving beyond the cross-gen window, relying on so many properties and sequels to games that were born of the PlayStation 4 era, an era of new IP, creativity that really defined what it meant to be a PlayStation first-party game. We've simply not seen PlayStation 5 have an opportunity to give us its version of that vision. And I think that is the core essence, the reason why so many people do feel a bit underwhelmed with their PlayStation 5, or feel like it hasn't reached its full potential, or are not ready to jump to next generation consoles, because it feels like it just launched yesterday. But 2026, I think, is shaping up to potentially be the PlayStation 5's breakout year. Of course, we will learn more about what PlayStation has in store after the state of play, but just looking at the field right now, we have a really interesting lineup of games that is doing something we've yet to see throughout the life cycle of the PlayStation 5 so far. Deliver a slate of first-party titles that are fully new, standalone projects separate from riding the success of games that were already great on the PlayStation 4. Because every single year of the PlayStation 5 so far, we've either had a sequel, cross-gen game, or follow-up to a title that was already great on the PlayStation 4, with the major PlayStation exclusives for the year. 2021, we had a brand new IP with Returnal, but we also saw another sequel, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Year 2 saw Horizon Forbidden West. We got God of War Ragnarok in there. 2023 saw Spider-Man 2, a smash hit following up the releases of Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4. 2024 gave us Astro Bot, which, as much as I love it, was really reworking a lot of what was already incredible about the PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR Astro Bot Rescue Mission. In 2025, we saw Death Stranding 2 on the Beach and Ghost of Yote, again sequels to late PlayStation 4 IP. But 2026, we don't have any of that. We don't have anything that is continuing or following up PlayStation 4 games. In fact, we have our first follow-up to an IP and an idea and a game that was born on the PlayStation 5. In just a few months, April will be giving us Saros, the next game from Housemarque, a team who is celebrated throughout the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and when they delivered Returnal and became an in-house studio early in the PlayStation 5 lifecycle, a lot of eyes were put on them for having what many consider the best PlayStation 5 exclusive so far. And now we see Saros building off the legacy of that game, Returnal, and seeing what they can do with that formula, how they can reinvent their arcade roots on the PlayStation 5 with a second attempt, is exciting and is fully encapsulated within this console's identity. But in the more immediate future, we have Marathon, and as indifferent as a lot of people want to feel about extraction shooters, Bungie making a new shooter is still a really big deal, even if it doesn't deliver to the legacy, the name of Bungie. We're not going to know until we go hands-on with it, but Bungie launching their next new game, a reinvention of a classic foundational series for them, is still a big moment. For all intents, this is kind of a new IP launch for Bungie. And that means something still. And then at the tail end of the year, we know we're getting Wolverine from Insomniac. Now again, you could say, well, it's taking place in the same universe as Spider-Man. However, what we've seen of Wolverine so far, it feels like a pretty radical departure from Insomniac's bread and butter of this generation, which has been Spider-Man games. Wolverine is much more violent, looks much more serious, and based off what we've seen from gameplay, it does seem like while having action game elements, it's going to be much more character action leaning or brutal combat compared to Spider-Man's. Plus, we also know we will be getting the collaboration between Arc System Works and PlayStation with Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which is a big deal for PlayStation to be centralizing one of their major releases of a calendar year on a genre that they don't typically spend a lot of time in. So with just these 4 games, we are looking at a lineup that PlayStation has really not been able to deliver on this console just yet. Something that feels truly new, branching out into new IP, new franchises, new genres. And this is something that the PlayStation 5 has kind of desperately needed so far. A true next-gen feeling lineup of new ideas, things that you physically cannot play on a PlayStation 4, or play something like on a PlayStation 4 in the case of games like Spider-Man 2 or Death Stranding 2. So as it stands, PlayStation's lineup for the year is one that is fresh, unique to the PlayStation 5, and has potential to define the following few years of the remainder of the PlayStation 5. Very similar to the moment on the PlayStation 4 or 2016 with Uncharted 4, which really felt like the grand debut of what the PS4 was, following that up in 2017 with Horizon Zero Dawn, before getting into that really an all-timer run, 2018 to 2020, with games like God of War, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, some people will say Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, and some major exclusives in there as well with stuff like Final Fantasy VII Remake. With console prices across the board kind of going up still, and PlayStation 5 running out of the holiday 2025 season as the best-selling console of the bunch, in addition to getting all these new IP, these new franchises, new genres, with the chance to redefine what it means to be a PlayStation exclusive in the tail end of this console, it's going to be an interesting and fascinating arc to keep an eye on as we get more players picking up this console to explore its library and more games made for the PS5 with new ideas it can call its own. Now, as great as this first-party lineup has the potential to be this year, we also know that later this year, of course, we will be getting the release of Grand Theft Auto 6. Unfortunately, it's not releasing on PC, so the best place to play it is probably going to be a PS5. So if Grand Theft Auto 6 is able to bring an entire new massive tidal wave of players to this platform, which does have some great games from the last 6 years, along with an exciting year for longtime fans, a diverse lineup of games that are going to get people like me to be excited to pick up their DualSense again after a little bit of time. And most importantly, if we really are going to be experiencing a longer run with the PS5 than was initially planned, it allows these games to have more time to breathe, create a culture of the PS5 that's not defined by the previous console. Give us more runway to look forward to and play the next games from Cory Barlog and Intergalactic and whatever other surprises PlayStation has in store for the tail end of this console. We could be looking at a situation where PlayStation, once again, put on their heel, is able to turn around the general conversation, the general sentiment of one of their more divisive consoles. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's kind of the most important thing for a console's lasting legacy. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff to talk about with the failures of the PlayStation 3. $600, you'll get a second job, there's no games on it, all the third-party ports were terrible to sell processor. But for those that were there, for those that were playing games on it, when it was in that final stretch, there was so much magic in that last run of the PS3 that I think 2026 may be priming the PlayStation 5 to replicate in a way. And if they can pull it off, I think the sentiment around the PlayStation 5 is only going to go up from here. But at the very least, this rumored upcoming State of Play will be giving us a better look at what to expect from this year's lineup. So I want to know how you feel about PlayStation's slate going into the rest of 2026 so far. Is this enough to really make you think differently about the PlayStation 5? Is it enough for you to maybe take a break from your gaming PC or your new Nintendo Switch 2 and pick up your DualSense again? I'm fascinated to hear what you have to say about it, because to reiterate, the PlayStation 5 is a great place to play games. It's a fantastic console that clearly has a lot more gas left in the tank. But it's hard to deny that so far it's kind of just felt like a continuation and greatest hits of the PlayStation 4. So once again, be sure to let us know what you think. Of course, stay tuned right here and over on GameRant.com for future episodes and coverage of what's to come for PlayStation in the new year. But for now, thanks for watching. See you soon.